There are certain spots that blow fans away and stand the test of time. These spots traditionally come out of nowhere and nobody sees them coming. The key to delivering a spot of this nature is to make sure it's executed to perfection and give the spot appropriate time to breathe so fans can react accordingly. Well, which times were they? Well, join us now as Wrestlelamia looks at 10 WWE spots that live rent-free in my head. Be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell for daily wrestling videos and follow us on Facebook for exclusive lists. Also check out Wrestlelamia.co.uk and our non-wrestling channel, Incredible. Number 10. Ricochet gets RKOd. A former WWE Intercontinental Champion, Ricochet has attained a reputation for going the extra mile with his selling. This was on full display in the October 2019 as Ricochet offered one of the best sells of the RKO ever seen on WWE television. Ricochet was wrestling Drew McIntyre when Orton would slide into the ring to perform the RKO. This spot works so well because the camera smartly shot around Orton so the audience at home had virtually no idea what was going on. Ricochet sold the move by landing on the top of his head, and it looked brutal. Due to the way Ricochet sold the move, there was some initial concern that he was hurt, but thankfully he was perfectly fine, and this was just his way of elevating one of the most famous moves in WWE. Number 9. Brock Lesnar performs a leapfrog. Heading into the rematch between Brock Lesnar and Goldberg at WrestleMania 33, there was a lack of excitement from fans. There was certainly a lack of demand to see another match between the two, and fans were left disappointed when it became a match for the Universal title. Fans were hoping that Chris Jericho and Kevin Owens would culminate their acclaimed storyline in a WrestleMania showdown for the Universal title, but Vince McMahon had other ideas. To the surprise of many, the match between Lesnar and Goldberg exceeded all expectations, and it was actually a fun match with a ton of innovative spots. The most notable spot in the match occurred when Goldberg attempted a spear and Lesnar responded by leapfrogging over him. It looked amazing and fans audibly gasped at this feat of athleticism from the multi-time world champion. Number 8. Linda McMahon low blows Vince McMahon. Whilst this spot didn't feature an insane feat of athleticism, it showed how storytelling can impact the reaction to a spot in a match. The spot in question took place at WrestleMania 17. Vince and Shane McMahon collided in a street fight, and during the match, Linda McMahon was wheeled down to the ring in a wheelchair. The reason that Linda was in a wheelchair was because she had undergone a nervous breakdown following her on-screen divorce with Vince McMahon, and she was now comatose due to their sedatives that she'd been forced to take. During the match, fans would get the payoff to this Linda storyline as she would heroically rise from a wheelchair and perform a low blow onto Vince McMahon, just before Vince was about to thwack Shane McMahon with a trash can. This spot received arguably the biggest reaction of the entire WrestleMania event, and seeing as the WrestleMania match card is considered to be an all-time great pay-per-view, this is some achievement. Number 7. Kofi Kingston's original Royal Rumble save. Royal Rumble each and every year is seeing how Kofi Kingston is going to escape elimination. Over the past decade, Kingston has made a career out of these elimination rescues, and for many, his antics are usually the highlight of the entire Rumble match. The initial Rumble save, which was performed way back in 2012, was without a doubt the most surprising. Kingston would be kicked off the apron by The Miz, but Kingston smartly performed a handstand and would use his core strength to walk over the steps, saving him from elimination. It was unbelievable to witness live and was the highlight of one of the more lackluster Rumble matches. Number 6. Moonsault into a tombstone piledriver. And the match between Shawn Michaels and The Undertaker at WrestleMania 25 is beloved by fans and is often cited as one of the greatest matches in WrestleMania history. What makes this spot even more impressive is the fact that the two legends had almost abandoned the spot completely. During match rehearsals, they couldn't get the timing right, and there was a major concern that they were going to botch it during the actual match. Thankfully they didn't, and the spot couldn't have gone any better. Number 5. Curb stomp into an RKO. When Randy Orton countered a curb stomp into an RKO at WrestleMania 31, fans were utterly speechless. The spot logistically looked like a nightmare, but Orton and Seth Rollins managed to pull it off. It's not just one of the best RKOs out of nowhere, but it's also one of the most precise and perfect spots ever delivered in WWE. Rollins famously revealed on the Talk is Jericho podcast that the two wrestlers were unable to execute the spot correctly when practicing earlier in the day. This meant that the first time that the spot was performed correctly was in the match itself. Rollins even admitted the spot couldn't have gone any better, and discussing how he came up with the legendary spot, Rollins added, "I came up with the idea a couple of weeks beforehand, ran it by Cesaro, and he said, 'I think you can do that.' So we get to rehearsals that week and I pitched it to him, and Randy's like, 'Are you sure about that?' And we got to the moment where I ran and I put my foot. It was just one of those where I hit it and I knew it. I got up in the air, I got super flat, we made eye contact, he hits the thing and he forgets to cover me." Number 4. Shelton Benjamin gets hit with Sweet Chin music. And fans of the Ruthless Aggression era often refer to Shelton Benjamin's match with Shawn Michaels in 2005 as the reason why they love the respective eras so much. The match is responsible for an iconic finish which saw Benjamin attempt a springboard maneuver, and this was when HBK performed a sweet chin music out of nowhere. In modern WWE, moves of this nature are rather common, but back in 2005, a spot like this was unheard of. HBK would discuss the spot during an interview with comicbook.com, and the WWE Hall of Famer would even thank Benjamin for the spot. He stated, "It's one of those ones that is lightning in a bottle. That's the timing, and everything else is just so perfect. Because again, you can't do the same thing, but if the timing isn't perfect, it doesn't quite stand the test of time like that one does. That's one of those moments where everything comes together, and it certainly does not hurt that you have got an unbelievably stellar athletes like Shelton doing all the heavy lifting and that type of stuff. I'm the guy that got to win, but I will always argue that he is the guy that did the majority of the work in that particular instance. I have to thank him for that." Number 3. Seth Rollins counters a spear into a pedigree. Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns have a tremendous chemistry inside the squared circle, and the match at Money in the Bank 2016 was a great showcase of the aforementioned chemistry. There was one spot in the match that truly blew fans away though, and this took place as Reigns was about to perform a devastating spear on Rollins. As Reigns was inches away from landing the spear, Rollins somehow countered the move into a pedigree in mid-air. Fans were stunned with what Rollins had achieved, as the spot could have gone terribly if not timed to perfection. Now, the only downside of the spot was that it was in the match finish. That would have made the spot even better, but nevertheless the spot certainly lives rent-free in the head of a lot of modern WWE fans. Number 2. Edge spears Jeff Hardy off the ladder. The classic TLC 2 match at WrestleMania 17 featured so many innovative and game-changing spots that influenced pro wrestling for the next 20 years. The most famous of these was when Jeff Hardy was dangling from the tag titles above the ring and Edge leaped and performed a spear from a ladder onto Hardy. Although this spot was performed by the two men the year prior, this one is more famous and is often highlighted as one of the more pivotal moments of both of their decorated careers. Whilst this spot was amazing, it was insanely dangerous. According to Edge, the margin for error was so small that he had to ensure that Hardy would land flat on his back, or Hardy would have likely suffered a broken neck in the middle of the match. And number 1, sweet chin music into a pedigree. Now, the saga between Triple H, The Undertaker and Shawn Michaels came to a dramatic close at WrestleMania 28. Triple H and the Dead Man would collide inside a Hell in a Cell with HBK as special guest referee. The match offered some of the most compelling storyline WWE have ever delivered, and it's a match that will be revered for years to come, although it was WWE at its very best. But there you have it folks, 10 WWE spots that live rent-free in my head. Be sure to leave your comments down below, and I'll see you next time with some more wrestling content.